Portlock, Alaska isn't the type of place one would casually stumble upon. Tucked away in the Kenai Peninsula, this remote ghost town has a chilling story. Where once stood a thriving cannery town is now eerie, eerily silent, overgrown with moss, trees, and mystery. The community began to dwindle in the 1940s, not by overfishing, not by deforestation, but by something much darker. The tale goes deeper, laced with local legends and unexplained disappearances. Today, the remaining ruins of this small but up and coming town tell a story of people that left not by choice, but by fear. And that fear, if you speak to the locals, the Alutiiq natives talk about what drove them out of the town seemingly overnight. They may say it was Natinak, this not so friendly woodland creature. It's a mysterious, menacing Bigfoot like figure said to haunt the area for generations. Unlike other Bigfoot sightings, it was believed to be responsible for many of the disappearances and deaths around Portlock, Alaska. Welcome to the episode, everybody. I'm your host, Brother Blue. With me today, Torsten, Jasper, and Michelle. We are talking about Portlock, Alaska. Now, Portlock, Alaska, as you just heard, very, very strange occurrences going on there. But bringing us up to speed with a little bit of the history of the town first, we're going to go with Jasper. Jasper, what do you got for us on the history of Portlock, Alaska?
Portlock, Alaska was established in the early 20th century as a salmon cannery tucked away in the Kenai Peninsula. The town is thought to be named after Captain Nathaniel Portlock, a British Royal Navy captain who visited the area in 1786. The town was largely made up of Russian Aleuts and Alutiiq natives. In 1921, the first post office opened in Portlock, cementing Portlock's place on Alaska's coastline, though now it's a ghost town with a chilling reputation. Once Portlock was a thriving cannery town, it now sits eerily silent, overgrown with moss, trees, and mystery. The local natives started talking about a mysterious creature that resembles Bigfoot or the Yeti. They also reported seeing the spirit of a woman dressed in black clothes that would come out on the cliffs above the town. In the 1920s, a man by the name of Albert Petka allegedly scared off the Bigfoot-like creature with his dogs, but not before receiving a fatal blow to his chest. According to the stories, he survived long enough to tell the tale, but soon after succumbed to his wounds. This marked the beginning of the mysterious deaths and disappearances in the area. There are stories of hunters and prospectors going missing, their bodies allegedly found in a creek as if their limbs had been ripped apart. In the 1930s, strange incidents began occurring to most of the Russian Aleuts, and many of them moved out of town for a year. The people running the cannery practically begged their workers to come back and even offered to place armed guards for a short period of time in an attempt to bring them back to town. In the 1940s, the town's population began to dwindle as the mysterious deaths and disappearances continued. This wasn't a typical small town closure where the industry declines and people move on for better opportunities. No, the tale goes deeper and darker, laced with local legends and unexplained disappearances. Even today, the remaining ruins of the town tell a story of the place where people left not by choice but due to fear. Imagine, if you will, living in a town where the wilderness stretches far beyond what the eye can see, and every day someone from your community simply vanishes, never to return. That's the grim reality for the people of Portlock. Hunters and loggers would venture out into the wilderness, never to come back. Their Their bodies, or what little was left of them, would sometimes be found scattered across dense brush, torn apart in ways that couldn't simply be explained by the local wildlife. It's no wonder that over time these events drove people to flee. The thought of being next was too frightening, and soon the town was abandoned altogether. If you ask the locals what really drove the residents away, some might tell you is Nantanak, which is a mysterious, menacing Bigfoot-like creature that is said to have haunted the areas for generations. Unlike other Bigfoot stories you hear in the Pacific Northwest, this creature isn't just spotted in passing. It was believed to be responsible for many of the disappearances. Witnesses claimed that they had seen something large and hairy stalking the forest edge. The creature's aggressive behavior and frightening encounters cement its place in Alaska's legends. Some people also say that spirits of the ones that disappeared wander the area as if trapped in the wilderness where they met their untimely demise. While some dismiss the Nun attack as nothing more than a myth or folklore, the fact that Portlock became a ghost town so quickly and under such strange circumstances makes one wonder if there's more to the story. The mass departure of people from Portlock wasn't gradual. It was as if one day they just decided they couldn't take it anymore. There were reports of frightened residents packing up their belongings and leaving behind homes, possessions, and their former lives just to get away from whatever truly lurked in those woods. Some stories suggest that entire families left under cover of darkness, wanting nothing more than to escape whatever was haunting the town. Others were said to have left on boats, too fearful to spend another night in Portlock. All that was left behind were empty buildings, a decaying cannery, and unsettling rumors that still exist today. Fast forwarding to today, you'll find that ghost hunters and thrill seekers alike investigating the ruins, hoping to catch a glimpse of the paranormal and uncover what truly happened. Some folks have reported strange noises in the forest, crunching footsteps, distant growls, and the feeling of being watched. Others claim to have felt an oppressive presence, a weight in the air, as if you will, that seems to linger long after you leave the site.
Very good. All right. So that's a little bit of history into Portlock. Um, Nathaniel Portlock was not the first person to land in the Kenai Peninsula. The Spanish had wanted to seek a foothold in the Pacific Northwest and had gone as far as Canada, especially to that peninsula. Uh, there are reports that state that upon being on that land, a lot of the men of the Spanish fleet that had gone ashore began becoming sick. They began getting sick, they began feeling very run down, feeling that heaviness that we all, that Jasper had just mentioned, that heaviness that is on them. Um, it's quite possible the area might have high amounts of uranium in there. That causes that type of sickness.
Hi.
Go ahead, Michelle. You're the skeptic today.
So I would like to call out there are many natural reasons for that to happen, especially with people who aren't from that area. So let me go back a little bit and say that area was originally settled by the Kenai Indian tribe who've been there for many thousands of years before it was found again by others. But the peninsula is known for its high concentrations of natural gas, petroleum, coal. All of those things could wreak havoc on someone's physical feelings if they're not used to having all of that in the air, especially natural gas.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't there also a prosperous silver mine there?
I believe there was. It was a little bit further up than Portlock, but
Okay.
yes, like the refinement of silver can also put some really great chemicals into the air.
Oh yeah. I mean, we see there's that one gentleman who turned himself blue by consuming small amounts of silver
Yeah.
over the course of like 20 years, and now his skin is permanently tinted blue.
I have a great idea.
I'm not doing that.
I mean,
I
want.
wear blue. I don't.
I
I
think we
am
should
not
start feeding
becoming
Blue silver in just little small micro doses until
No,
he
I'm
just
good.
starts turning a shade of blue, like the blue fugates of Kentucky. Another episode that we're going to have to do.
Yeah, we'll have to do that one in the future. But I mean, there could have been also, like I said, there could have been also unfound uranium deposits
Hmm.
there that could cause sickness like that. I mean, constantly being sick, constantly being uh having what amounts to radiation poisoning.
The
I
fact that
mean,
they started to feel better within days after leaving,
mhm.
it to me it sounds like it was uh it was a natural piece.
Natural gas or something like that.
Yeah. So again, I'm just here for the skeptic's point of view today.
Hmm.
So
Okay, now Torsten, what do you got for us?
Um, the murders
Ooh,
of
okay.
Portlock.
The unexplained disappearances and murders of Portlock. I can't wait to hear this.
Well, the story of the murders of Portlock began in the 1930s. The first victim of these murders was killed on a spot. On the spot was a lone logger, Andrew Kamuk, who was on his daily routine of logging. He was hit over the head by a huge piece of logging equipment that was too heavy for a single man to lift themselves. Which has got to be pretty heavy, and getting it up there, looking at where Portlock is, bit of a
hike.
trip to take it.
Yeah. I believe they had mentioned, especially when it comes to that particular case, that the man had sled dogs, and those were the how he managed to get, like, a lot of his equipment up into the woods.
The mystery of the murder of Mr. Kamuk was clear when the locals arrived at the scene of the incident. What shocked them more was his head was bashed in by heavy logging equipment, but the discovery brought more questions than answers. When the locals went to search for the body, they were shocked by what they saw. Blood was all over the logging equipment, which no person could have lifted and struck the logger with. What shocked them even more was that the body of the logger was found 10 feet from the equipment. This brought to the conclusion that the logger did not slip nor fall and hit his head. The picture is clear that he might have been hit by someone who picked up the equipment, but they would have to be a huge man, which there was none of in the area at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Now, fear started gripping the local natives of Portlock from the 1920s, when there was a mysterious disappearance of a man by a mysterious creature. Several of the local natives described the creature as being a hairy Bigfoot type, but they couldn't really explain it to people of what they'd seen or what the hell it was. A group later on, there was a group of hunters that went out on their usual duties. They were stalking moose and came across something that shocked them. The hunters found giant footprints, probably of some big animal, which they couldn't say what it was. However, what shocked them was the area they found the footprints had destroyed trees, branches, and there was lots of blood. And there was no sign of any moose that they had killed earlier in their trip. And no one else was known to be in the area, and there was no other human footprints to suggest that the meat had been stolen. And all the way through until everybody left, there are several stories of people dying under mysterious circumstances with nobody else around and under very, very mysterious circumstances.
Let me expand on that right there. The mysterious circumstances with no one else around, but there was obviously someone else who did cause bodily injury to that person. So it wasn't like I fell down and, slipped on a rock or whatever, or accidental overdose. This was a definite murder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were all the recorded murders are all extremely gruesome.
Yeah.
No, was as human beings can be particularly nasty towards another, but it's the descriptions of how a few of the bodies were found was more animalistic in nature of how they were killed, but none of the animals that were native to the area had they seen anything, those animals do any of that sort of harm before.
So, I mean, and if we think about Alaska in and of itself, I mean, you have a wide variety of animals that call that place home. Wolves are there. You got occasionally a polar bear will come down into Alaska, not usually down to the Kenai Peninsula. Kenai is mostly a large grizzly bear population.
Lynx, wolves, caribou, mountain goats, dull, sheep, seabirds.
Most of those animals don't usually attack humans. They and even like if you think from a hunting perspective, most like predatory animals actively avoid human contact.
I feel that.
As do I.
And most carnivorous hunters won't waste any of the meat. They'll eat it all.
Exactly.
So when they're finding bodies and not just skeletons, it says that it was something that isn't totally carnivorous.
Yeah. I mean,
it's killed.
Also, it's a known fact bears eat their prey ass first.
Really?
Yeah. They'll eat you ass first.
Is that why you want a bear?
Yes, because the
Oh my gosh!
Attack people and eat them ass first that I don't like. The people that I don't like.
That's
yeah, but most people
reasons,
talk out of their this day and age.
But no, like it's an animal will eat its kill. You will see visible signs of an animal feeding on a kill.
And if they're not going to be able to eat it in one fell swoop, animals are known for hiding it.
Yeah, especially bears.
Later.
Bears will hide it. Will hide their kill for later. They'll bury it so that way no one else can get at it. Alligators drag their food down into the mud. and it actually makes it more tender for them, so that way they can eat it easier.
And wildcats bring them up into the trees.
Yeah, mountain lions, they'll drag food up into the trees. Lynx will burrow out a log and hide their food in there. Like, there's so many different variations of how predatory animals will deal with what they consider food. And 9 times out of 10, predatory animals are going to avoid you no matter what. They don't like human sounds. They don't like humans. They understand their place in the food chain,
I feel that.
and like, I believe me, I would like to avoid all human contact if I could, but here we are. But when it comes to truly understanding of what would attack its prey, or what it perceives as prey, and just leave it after mauling it, nothing does that.
Not that we know of, or back then that they knew of.
Well, okay, here you go. I'll pose this. One of our closest genetic relatives, the chimpanzee. We know it's an omnivorous animal. It eats other smaller primates. They don't
And their own.
leave, and their own, if there's an issue. But here's the thing: they never leave the body. They will
No.
sit there, and they will eat the entire thing on the spot.
There are several species of animals who have been known to kill prey just for the sheer act of killing prey. Surplus killing is what it's called.
Yep.
And they have been known to leave after they've killed and just say, screw it, I'm going. One of those animals is native to the Kenai Peninsula. You want to know what that is?
Go for
Is
it.
it the orca?
It's the lynx.
Okay. You do see that in big cats, but the thing is, a lynx against 4 guys.
If it were an abnormally large lynx,
I don't see it. I don't see that happening.
I can't say can't.
I
The
mean,
only
you
way
could
I'd
argue-
see the only way I'd see that happening is if they were all asleep.
And even then, a lynx will run in, hit one, and run out. They are very similar to mountain lions in the respect of they're ambush hunters. They will get you when you least expect it. But there's no way a full-grown lynx at roughly about 70 pounds is going to take on a full-grown human.
So I'm going to push this a little bit further and say, while most lynx are solitary hunters, they have been known in certain situations to pack hunt in small groups, especially during breeding season. So 1 lynx versus 4 men, yeah, maybe. Several male mating season lynx against a handful of guys.
I don't think they would. I still don't think they would attack them because these men were armed with firearms.
Lynx doesn't know what a gun is.
Yeah, but they know they don't like the noise.
Yeah, but they'd have to hear the noise to know that they shouldn't go near them.
If they're all
yeah, but they'd already been hunting in that area for years.
Think about it. Let me just throw it out there. A bunch of male cats hopped up on hormones, getting all cat horny.
I see. I don't have to deal with that. Mine was neutered, so he wouldn't know what to do.
Yeah, they do. They do come. Well, any sort of animal in heat does become very
aggressive,
predatory, and you don't come onto their land.
I'm not saying that I'm right because there's no evidence of any of this. So, we're just throwing our theories at it. I'm here to throw wrenches at you guys. If you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball.
Nice reference. I like that.
I do also have a personal experience with specifically a mountain lion killing prey and then running away because it got scared off. It happened back when I was a sophomore in high school. It had been stalking up my driveway. I had no idea it was a mountain lion. I thought it was my dog, so I was like, get up here, obviously. And next thing I knew, I had this most terrible sinking feeling, so I ran back up on the porch. And when I turned around, it had my dog pinned to the ground and was obviously killing it. And I just screamed, and then it at some point bolted. But it does come back at least an hour later to try and find its prey.
Yeah, but that's if it gets scared off.
Yeah.
I'm saying I know how I am when I'm all hopped up on the hormones. I don't know what I'm capable of.
Listen, me in my younger years, I would, I'll take out a guy twice my size. I didn't give a damn.
So would I.
No comment. Anyway, but when it comes to animals that actually will attack a human being, it's gotta be it's gotta be over under like extreme circumstances. Like
But
they
we're
haven't
talking
been able to
about
catch prey.
Alaska, and if they're hungry and they see some meat
Mm,
over
yeah.
there, they're gonna eat it.
But the thing
There is a video that has been on Joe Rogan. There's a BBC Nature filmographer who's in a case.
Yeah, oh yeah, the guy in the fucking bulletproof case filming,
and the polar bear
was
is trying to get in there, and it's not because he's curious; it's he smells meat and he wants it.
Okay,
and if he gets in there,
you also got to think about this. You also got to think about this: that polar bears will kill you because they just want to eat you. It's one of the few bear species that doesn't give a damn.
Polar bears and penguins, man, they have no business on this earth.
Excuse me,
really?
I love penguins. Penguins can stay.
Penguins are awful.
Penguins are terrible.
Awesome. They're cool. Cute.
Do you know what they do to dead bodies?
I don't want to know. Anyway, don't ruin my my outlook on penguins, okay?
Penguins know what they did.
Don't ruin my love for penguins. Anyway, but when it comes to polar bears, they don't give a damn what they're fighting. They will go after what they want.
Yeah, they have no natural predator.
They have
apart from man,
and they're not afraid of guns.
No,
like
most guns can't take them down. Normal fucking firearms cannot take down a polar bear. You shoot a polar bear with a 45, he's just going to look at you and be like,
oh.
I feel like a polar bear would be taken out by an orca as it's swimming across to the next ice plate.
It has happened. But but it's very rare. That's like, moose. Moose have no natural predator.
Except for the orca.
Except for the orca whale.
Can anything take down a polar bear?
There's
a 50 caliber bullet.
Yeah, a 50 cal through the fucking chest. That'll take anything down.
Yeah.
But
many large bulls, bison, and other grizzly type animals could possibly take down a polar bear, but not likely.
No.
Well, I mean, even think about this too. The evolutionary diversity between grizzly bears and polar bears. They both came from one single line of bear, and they split
Come here.
to create a polar bear and a grizzly bear, the two largest bears on the planet. Now, we're also seeing in real time, polar bears are mating with grizzly bears.
Zebra bears.
to bring back the polar grizz.
Nope. I want them striped like
Nope.
a zebra.
They're no,
Nope.
no, 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 no.
Nope.
They are white like the polar bear.
A
They have
polar
that-
bear's
that-
not white.
Sorry,
Polar
they're
bear's
yellow.
not white.
They're not.
Gold-
They're
bears
or
aren't
black.
golden
yellow.
or whatever they are.
Polar bears are black.
Their fur is white. Anyway, it has white fur, but it has more
Okay.
grizzly
Somebody
bear
go find me a white
face.
cat so I can get Nero a girlfriend.
We're getting off topic. Just
I want a
let me
black and white
fucking
cat.
finish. I love you guys, but you drive me crazy.
Good
Have you
job.
met us?
Anyway, but we're seeing in real time evolution going back to the way that it was. They're going back to a main line. Now, in the Kenai Peninsula, like I said, you see a lot more grizzly bear encounters than you see polar bear encounters.
Mm.
The thing is, grizzly bears will take their kill. They won't leave it. Because also, grizzly bears are known for eating their fill of food and then sitting next to the carcass so nothing else will come to it.
I'm gonna start doing that in the kitchen from now on.
I'm gonna start doing that in my kitchen. My kids are
Yeah.
eating me out of house and home.
Just
I feel like
start
I've seen like
growling.
Go ahead, Jasper.
I feel like I've seen a nature documentary where wolves were trying to get prey from a bear, and so one or two of them would distract the bear, and like it would try and chase them off and start chasing them while the others would eat. So
Yeah.
that could explain, but then you'd have to deal with another predator.
Mm.
But I mean, when it comes to the way that these bodies are mauled, okay, getting back to the main topic at hand, when it comes back to the topic of how these bodies were mauled and left, these are not consistent. From all accounts, they're not consistent with bear attack.
No.
There was no evidence. There was no obvious injuries that could be saying this is a bear scratch. This is a bear bite. This is a
Or
wolf.
this is
This is a lynx.
a lynx
There was
or a
nothing
wolf
that
or
could
something.
tie it to
There's
anything. But
there was
also,
nothing that could tie it. Exactly.
I want to call your attention to the time
Mm-hmm.
of these early murders. It was between 1940 and 1960.
1930, 1940.
Okay, so 1930 to 1940, 50, 60 was not, let's call what it is, it was not the best time for forensic police work.
True.
So
But you also got to remember you had people that lived in the area and had seen kills before, had seen, what these things can do. So
right,
like,
but you're also
not for
talking
nothing.
about the elutic and the what's the word, the indigenous folks of that area. One of the theories is that they hyped up these stories of crazy
Mhm.
of the Nantinak. Yes, they had the beliefs in the Nantinak and all those things, but they hyped these stories up to scare the white man away.
See, but
So
the thing is when it comes to the stories of Portlock, it was actually a very like progressive and accepting town. The white men and the Eludic worked in conjunction with each other. They were actually very respectful to each other. Even when the cannery burned down, the Eludic were there to help rebuild it the first time. The second time it burned down, they realized that something was wrong because somebody said they saw a very large figure moving around inside the cannery, and that's what caused the fire. It knocked over a lamplight, which caught fire on some hay bales for shipping, and the fire quickly spread. Now, when it comes to Naughty as a actual being, who's to say that there's not some type of Sasquatch out there? I mean, Alaska can hide so many secrets. I mean,
Oh yeah.
you have tales of people saying they've seen mammoths up in Alaska. You have tales of people saying they've seen dire wolves up in Alaska. They've seen saber-toothed cats up in Alaska. You know, they've seen all types of things up there. And these are people that it's not just part of their beliefs. People that have been hunting these lands and been out in these lands all of their lives.
Yeah.
Never saw anything that was messed up. Were very reputable people, but yet they saw something they could not
Right.
explain.
The only thing I want to bring to your attention is in my research for this episode, I came across some interesting little tidbits of information about the stories of Portlock.
Okay.
So the things that happened in Portlock happened between 1930 and 1950. The town officially last residence 1950. That's when the post office closed. The first stories that were written down or even published were not until the early 70s. So again, I'm not saying that it didn't happen. I'm not saying that anything is whatever, but I'm saying that it's the same idea of, if you tell a story long enough, it's going to change and adapt. So who's to say what the real story is 30, 40 years after the fact when who knows who was there? The town was down to 6 people in 1950.
Yeah, but also you got to remember there are still people that are alive that were there during that time. And the story they tell is, what they observed in the town, what they observed during that whole time. There are people who were, my mother's age who were kids back then that, they saw a lot of weird stuff. Now, who are we to say that Nazi Nuck doesn't exist?
Right. I also want to point out the fact that according to police records for Kenai Peninsula in Alaska, there were no mysterious deaths reported anywhere between 1940 and 1950.
Well, because they chalked them up to animal attack.
But none of the murders have actually been solved.
Not solved, not reported.
They weren't reported.
They're not listed as actual official murders in the Kenai Peninsula Journal.
Yeah.
So
but there are stories back to the 1800s.
Oh yeah, it goes all the way back. Like there are normal deaths and there are animal deaths, but you can't find pockets that.
No, there's
stories.
There's one unconfirmed report from the 1800s of some prospectors that were ill prepared and got caught out in the harsh winter, and 2 survived, turned cannibalistic.
Yeah. That's pretty much standard for that time.
Well, you got to do what you got to do to survive. But you also got to do what you got to do.
If I were in the Donner Party, I would have eaten Bob Smith too. Like, I'm just saying.
Listen, give me some of that good thigh meat. I'm good.
Butt meat.
No, you don't want butt meat. That's too fatty.
That's where all the fat is. You need the fat for calories.
No, you go for the kidneys and the liver.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, you need that
Heart,
too.
the
Okay,
heart.
now this is devolving very
Oh,
fast.
oh yeah, we're going right
I
down
mean,
the
cannibalism
cannibal lane.
was legal in
But,
49, so
but this
But,
is the sort of thing that they would have back then, especially sort of 1800s, would have had to take into consideration that you don't have the equipment that you do today to be able to survive sub-zero temperatures without a structure
Yeah,
that has got
absolutely.
constant heat in it. So it probably, these prospectors and adventurers that were going out to those sort of areas probably had the thought in the back of the head of we might have to go this way if we end up screwed.
I mean,
well, I mean, you know,
yeah.
but
No, it's the same as like, you know, the survivors of the plane crash in the Andes. You know, the soccer players. You do what you got to do.
yeah, you know, and when it you could say all day long that you're not going to eat somebody if they're dead, you know, while you're out in the, you know, stuck out in the wilderness or whatever, out of respect for the dead. But if you're
I'd
hungry
cook
enough,
someone in a minute.
not
I'm
for
hungry
nothing,
now.
I'm cutting off a hunk of the fucking body, man.
I'm hungry now. I want chocolate. So
Oh, there you go.
yeah, I
Anyway,
want chocolate right now.
but okay, now I'm going to get into a little bit more of the legend version of
Oh yeah.
Naughty Nut.
I did some
The
interesting research on the Nanti Knock too.
the supernatural aspect of
Hmm.
it. Naughty Nut has actually been reported to be able to disappear into mist
Yeah, I saw that. That was
or
pretty
fog.
interesting. Fog is usually fog or a mist.
Um,
Just dissipates
yeah.
is how it was
Also,
described.
uh, uh, the villagers also went and said, you know, if there was going to be a fog in the area, nobody was allowed out. They had to stay home because the Natinak would be prowling around, and many people had said that they had seen large, a large, hairy, bipedal creature, aka
through
Natinak,
through the fog,
through the fog. Now,
and it was
anybody
always
who's ever
obscured. Yeah,
seen a human being's shadow through a fog, you always look bigger. The
how do
person's
you look
body always looks.
smaller?
No, well, you know, depending on how the light is hitting you.
No, I agree. I was just asking how I could turn that backwards and look smaller in the
Look
fog.
smaller. No, you're
Yeah,
all right. You're small enough anyway. Um,
I'm
you know,
short.
but when it, that's what I meant. Anyway,
Mm.
but this creature not only is a Bigfoot like creature, but it's also the spirit of the wood. It can steal your soul.
I can do that too.
I have no doubt about that. Anyway,
So can most women.
most women can steal the men's souls. Anyway,
I definitely haven't done that.
usually out through. Never mind. Anyway,
Yep.
so we're devolving here. Anyway, but when it comes to the Nazi Nut and how it is a supernatural being, but also a being of flesh and blood, um, quite quite interesting in the fact that up until like certain years, they really didn't mention anything about the spirit of the forest,
Uh, mm,
except. Go ahead, Michelle.
there, I can see the Nantinak, the way that it's described with all of the like the spirit of the wood with
Mhm.
the dissipating into fog. I can see it turning into more of an elemental spirit versus like a Bigfoot, you know, bipedal animal living in
Yeah.
the woods. More of an elemental, like evil spirits communing with nature,
Yeah.
that kind of thing, like wreaking havoc, and not really just a hide and seek champion of the Pacific Northwest. Like,
Yeah. I mean, there is a theory out there that Nachi is an elemental spirit rather than
mhm.
that takes the form of uh for lack of a better term, a Bigfoot. But
Yeah.
it it begs the question of where do you suspend traditional beliefs and actual fact?
I think to everyone that is a very, that line is varied widely between person to person.
Yeah.
No.
And it, far from me to say like the line should be here. For me, my line is usually a lot more to the scientific side than the I just take it as it is.
Mhm.
But I'm not saying it doesn't exist. I'm not saying that it can't exist. I'm saying that I want to look at what the other options are.
Yeah.
But it's an interesting story, and you're right. Like, I feel like the elemental idea, and that it can take on, and this is where like, if you want to be the advocate for some of the other stories, it can, the elemental spirit can shift almost shapeshifter like into other things. So maybe the reason why we couldn't identify the murder uh animal who killed something, the thing that couldn't identify the, what's the word I'm looking for? Open wounds? Yeah.
Yeah.
The reason we couldn't identify the wounds is because the Nazi Nox shifted into something that was not a known creature, or a hybrid of 3 or 4 things that it wanted to turn into. And
So
then
essentially, the
now you
chimera.
don't know what it is.
So yeah, like Jasper just said, essentially it became more of a chimera like beast.
Yeah.
I will be right
Chimera.
back.
Yep, go ahead. Jeff.
Yeah, a chimera. So I, I'd be interested to find out if that was a possibility, if these things can shapeshift. Like, asking someone who maybe has some Native American history in that area, if that is something that the Native Americans in that area believe. Is it an elemental? Is it a creature? Is it a thing? Like, what is it? What do they believe?
And when you talk to a lot of the indigenous peoples about certain things, some of them will clam up very quickly to certain aspects.
Well, certain things
Big,
aren't to be
big
spoken.
aren't to be shared with outsiders.
Hmm.
Bigfoot is actually one of those things that they really guard very closely. You even see down in the Southwest, with the whole like skinwalker thing, they don't speak about it because it will bring the thing
You speak it
to you.
into existence.
You
It's,
speak it
yeah.
into existence, and it will be drawn to you. It's one of those things that you have to respect their beliefs in that aspect of. There's just things you don't talk about because you don't want to see it when it comes. Um, Based on my own personal experiences with camping and being out in the woods. People don't realize this, but New Jersey has a lot of deep forested areas. Um, I've heard things I can't explain, and I know a lot of the fucking species that live here in this state. I've heard the species. I know what they sound like, but there's sounds that I've heard that I can't explain. Even I've even heard tree knocking. But the thing is that do I dare to respond with a tree knock? Fuck
Right.
no, because I don't know what it means. And that's because I don't have enough knowledge of the indigenous peoples that understand these things a little bit more because maybe they've been around them more.
Yeah. So
So
I know that you have something that you've watched on the Alaskan
yes,
Bigfoot. I also want to share that there is one of my favorite podcasts in the whole wide world
that isn't this one.
that's not this one is called Graveyard Tales.
Okay.
And the two hosts, one of them is from Texas, and yeah, so we'll love there. They've got an
Hometown love.
episode 285, the Alaskan Bigfoot.
Mhm.
It's about a little over an hour long, and it's called Graveyard Tales.
Okay.
I highly suggest you check it out. They've got a lot of really great episodes. A lot of the things that might be in the cryptid family, but
Mhm.
more hauntings and some other stuff. But their Alaskan Bigfoot episode is pretty good.
Okay. Right on. Uh, I just noticed now in the comments, Phoenix had made a point before. She said, "I believe the magic and mysticism are just science we don't understand yet."
Yeah, absolutely. Agreed.
That's actually prevalent throughout history. Because think about the way things were back in the day. We didn't understand certain things, so we made it as magic. But now those things are in the realm of science.
Mm.
So it
Love
makes everything
science.
makes us able to understand it a little bit more. But then again, also I think you need to be able to look at things with a little bit of faith. Look at things in a way that you don't sit there and just try to explain it away. You just sit there and say, okay, see your point.
Yeah.
I understand your belief. And you just kind of go, all right, right on. And you move forward from it. Doesn't mean that you have to full on believe it, but at the same time, be respectful of other people's beliefs. I mean,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to native culture
Yeah. Agreed.
or
One of my favorite
sorry,
things,
indigenous culture.
indigenous. One of my favorite things to say at work when someone tells me that they're, worried that they're not going to finish a project is I tell them that I believe in them. But I also believe in Bigfoot. So take that for what it's worth.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um. All right. So, what are our opinions? Was Portlock abandoned because of Natinak or not? Torsten, what do you believe?
Thumbs up, thumbs down. Quick vote.
Not solely. Not
Not
I
solely.
solely.
Yeah. Agreed.
Okay.
Agreed.
Jasper.
I agree with Thorsten.
Okay. Joe.
Hi. I believe that there were multiple layers of why the town was abandoned. I think a lot of it was economic.
Okay.
So I think the stories probably had something to do with it. So I'm going to say I think it was just a town that lost its ability. Once the factory burned down, there's no way for them to make money except for fishing, and you really can't do that in that little area. So,
I
but
mean, but the thing is that that whole area was an abundance of great fishing. I
if
mean,
you
they
look on
weren't
the
they
map,
weren't fishing to excess in that area.
right? But if you look on the map of where Portlock is on the Kenai Peninsula, um, it's
Hang
a
on, I'm going to bring that up.
it's a remote area. Like if you keep going in,
Mhm.
I don't know if you can go in any further, but
I
if
can't.
you go in, Portlock is basically on a promontory
Mhm.
into a bay, and there's nothing there, and it is really isolated. So if you're out there and there's no stores and the post office just is about to shut down and there's like not enough people and you can't buy the things that you need to survive, then yeah, I'm going to leave. I need a Target within 12 minutes.
Yeah. Considering the fact you
So
have one within like walking distance of your home.
of course I do, because I'm me and I am good at this. But I don't think it, I see Phoenix's, I don't think it didn't help the situation. Yeah, absolutely. There's stories of crazy shit happens all the time. If you keep hearing that, then you know what? I'm gonna go now. Yeah, that.
Yeah. Well, in my own opinion, while it did not help the situation, I'm sure it escalated the situation in that
Here.
prosperous little town that they had going for them. I mean, it was a big deal to get a post office
Mm-hmm.
back in the day. Like if you got a post office, you were on the map. You were
I need a post office at my house.
on the mailbox. Anyway,
It's
but the
that's
thing is that once the post office said no, we're out.
your death warrant.
That's your death warrant right there. That's it. I
Done.
mean, look at it through all the ghost towns here in the primary U.S. I mean, if you lose your post office, you're done. So
I have a
you
few
know,
towns I would like to have them lose their post office.
you and me both. Anyway, um, with that being said, folks, we will not be live next week, but we will be putting up a tape episode because Michelle's going on vacation. So we're gonna have a taped episode coming up next week for you guys on stone circles and what's their meaning, where did they come from, and who the fuck built them.
Yep.
Also, when we do return the following week, hopefully we will have some new information concerning our new merch provider,
Woo!
which I'm working on. Um, and it'll be able to be linked to the channel and our videos. So hopefully we can work it out. It's going to be a little bit more affordable for you guys, more and easier to access. Also,
Affordable and easy to access. I've heard that about you, Blue.
shush, listen, $20 is $20. Anyway, um, with that being said, we're going to bring this episode to a close. Thank you so much for joining us this week as we talked about the mysteries of Portlock, Alaska. Like I said, next week's will be a video rather than a live, but please tune in, like, share, subscribe. What we're here for. Goes goes big in terms of helping our channel and helping us grow. If you haven't gotten a chance yet, check out Jasper's Cryptid Corner. She's got one video up there so far. We're working on getting the other ones up right now. Michelle's also going to be doing a vlog style or a video, whatever, video log for us while she's on vacation of a what is it again?
Oh, I'm going to the Museum of Shadows in Omaha, Nebraska.
Okay, so
It's a haunted museum.
yes,
Museum of Haunted Items? Not a haunted museum. Museum of Haunted Items.
Museum of Haunted Items.
Yes. I was gonna try to get to the Villisca Axe Murder House because that's not too far, but I don't think that's gonna happen.
Well, if you get there, you get there. If you don't, you don't. But that will be in the when she gets me the video, we can upload it. We're going to be putting that in Michelle's coffee table.
Yes.
So or Michelle's cryptid coffee table, one or the other. I don't fucking remember what we're calling it, but it'll be an interesting little addition to the thing. So also I'm going to try and get to the vampire museum out in PA. Hopefully sometime over the next couple months. That's going to be something else to look forward to. I got a video coming up soon for Blues Legends Cave, talking about legends and of Native American origin and also from around the world. So we will catch you in the next one. Thank you so much for joining us, and have a wonderful week. Have a wonderful rest of your day. We'll catch you in the next episode. And if you can't be good, be bad. If you're going to be bad, at least be good at it. We'll catch you in the next one, guys.